Solo Leveling. I had to bring this one up first because this one is one I have actually read some of the manhwa for.
A Sign of Affection. This one is interesting. When I saw the trailer for it last year, I was like, yeah, this is definitely one that I need to check out.
I'm gonna choose Buchigiri.
I heard about that one.
Ooh,
I actually really liked that first episode. Me and Ricky watched it.
We watched it together.
And man,
what a show.
It's a show.
Chain Soldier. Macho said ain't no slave.
I've heard about that one.
Yeah, I watched the 2 episodes that are out. This is probably going to be one of the most horny shows this season.
Yo, what's poppin', everybody? It's the No Level Cap Podcast. We back once again with the crew to talk about all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture, none of the bullshit. Let me introduce my incredible co-host. We've got the Black Daredevil, the secret weapon of No Level Cap, Terrence Flowers. What's poppin', Terrence?
Oh, things are all good on my end. It's been a pretty good week and just spent part of the day catching up on some anime, so I'm all ready for today's subject, so let's go.
That's what's up. Next up, we got the Collector of Collectors, the master of Twitch, Will Coleman. What's going on, Will?
Nothing much, my guy. Just chilling, relaxing. Same thing Terrence did. Did a little bit of catching up yesterday and a little bit today. So I think I'm a little equipped to talk about this. So let's hop into it.
Hey, everybody did their homework, as it were. All right, next up, we got One Punch Man, the master of combos, Devin Butts. What's going on, Devin?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Got to be back for another episode. I've actually, most of my week has kind of been involved beating Resident Evil 4. I'm like at the end of the game, so I've been thoroughly enjoying that. It's pretty solid remake. Not quite perfect, but pretty darn good. Atmosphere is on 10. Great remake. I can actually see why it got nominated for Game of the Year. I know people, say the remakes say it's a remake, but this one was done in a way it's like, okay, they kind of really did a lot different with this. And also anime. I've watched the first episode of one of my animes. I hadn't watched the second. Y'all probably already know what it is before I even say it. Y'all know what anime that I've been on since last year, so I don't even have to say nothing. Let's get into this topic, man.
All right, then. Next up, we've got the living cartoon, the man with the golden voice, Rakeem Beck. What's popping, Rakeem?
Oh, man. As I always say, another day, another dollar. This week, I have been absolutely consumed with Like a Dragon, Yakuza 7. I've been playing that nonstop. I don't know what it was. I saw the Infinite Wealth trailer, and I was like, I need to go back to this old game that I tried a long time ago and never finished, and I just fell in love with it again. It brought back my love for the entire series. Many years ago, I fell in love with just the first time I saw Kazuma Kiryu bust dude's head into a wall, and like the melodrama, like the J-drama stylings of the story. It captivated me when I was younger, and I fell in love with the series. I played Yakuza 1 and 2 on PS2, and Yakuza 3 and 4. And Yakuza 4 is probably one of my favorite games on PS. Like I played on PS, I think it was on PS3 when I played it.
Yeah,
on PS3. Yeah. I played that game. I really love Yakuza 4. And then over time, I kind of didn't keep up with the full series. The series is very long, but now it's kind of rekindled my love for the series. I'm having a blast. Along with that, I've been watching a lot of anime as well to prepare for today's episode, and I've been enjoying, catching up on some animes coming back, and also watching some new ones I've never seen before. So pretty cool.
I've had quite a bit of time. It's been great to see y'all come back to Yakuza, because like not only did Keen get into Yakuza, but our roommate Nelson also got into Yakuza, and it's been pretty awesome because like I just finished Yakuza Like a Dragon because I was trying to hype up for
Infinite Wealth.
Infinite Wealth. Yeah, I was trying to hype up for Infinite Wealth, and I was like, well, I got to go ahead and finish this game. So the sad part was I was like, well, I'm going to have to try to power through the early parts of the game because I had beaten so much of the game on PS4. And I've, of course, since then switched to Steam. And I was like, well, how's this going to go? And so I wound up powering through. And before I knew it, I had like gotten past where I had been before. And I was like, oh, well, this only took like a week and a half. And so like over the course of the remaining part of December, and not even all of December, I just like kept powering through. I put the cheat engine on because I was like, hey man, it's a single player game. I do what I want. So I just went ahead and pushed my way through, gave myself an infinite wealth. And you'd be surprised at how easy any RPG is to break if you can break the economy. And that was one of the games where I was like, oh, I'm breaking this economy. And I just pushed through, beat it, had a ton of fun, a great story. Looking forward to Infinite Wealth. Can't wait to see what they do with Kiryu and with Kiryu coming back into the story. I really need to play Gaiden. I know that's like a key, like it's 7.5, but it's like a really important 7.5. So
yeah.
But of course, I am your host, the man who won't shut up, Sage Ashford. What's good? Before we get started, I just want to tell y'all the No Level Cap podcast goes up every week on Monday mornings on YouTube and Spotify for our audio listeners. We're also on TikTok, and if you want to reach us on Twitter, come get at us for some funny anime arguments. All right, so this week I wanted to talk about the winter anime season. We're a bit late to things, so rather than try to like go down the trailers like we normally do, we decided this time to just talk about our impressions on the season thus far, like some of the shows we've seen and what we think about them. And I want to start with Devin. What shows have you gone through?
Oh man, there's a new one that actually I am really hyped for that I watched the first episode. It's Sure. I looked at the synopsis and I saw like the trailer and I watched the first episode and I'm like, I need some more of this. It's the first episode is actually like very similar to Attack on Titan. Because it's like everything is like all happy. There's like this world. It's almost like it kind of reminded me of Reign of the Seven Spellblades at first. Like everything was kind of like colorful. There's like they know magic is called like word magic. So it's like when they say do spells, like you hear like the words echoing. So it's like this building of like words and stuff. So their magic is based on words. It's kind of like I guess like what's the guy from JoJo, the little guy with the little cell stand. It's like the power of words.
Oh, Koichi.
Rohan.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, that's what I used to call him. A lot too. So Sage, I call him Gohan because it's basically what he is. He goes Super Saiyan. But everything's like cool. These two girls, they're just having fun. They're friends, and then it get real fast. I'm like, whoa! It's like
got real, all right.
So Sage must know what I'm talking about because
I watched Ishida. I watched it.
Man, I was like, my gosh, like that first scene. It was very reminiscent of like Eren when his mom got ate. It's like things were just kind of going normal, and then the Titan
worse,
like,
really.
Yeah, you're right. You are right.
Because the Golem did what it did just for like no reason, just
like unnecessarily. Violence. Yeah, like I was like, stop, she's dead. Stop. He's like, no, I'm a robot. I don't know how to stop. Ain't no stop, man. Just go.
Ain't no stop.
Wow.
But I feel like it's a really interesting premise. At first I wasn't sure, but I kept watching and I'm just like, dang, things took a turn. It's almost like she was in just this happy time and then everything just went to like apocalypse, like immediately. Like everything around her was destroyed. Her best friend just got mutilated. And she's like these, apparently, so the premise I think is like these golems, they were supposed to be used to protect from something called like the True Demon King, but something has happened now where it's almost like an iRobot type situation. And it's kind of reminiscent to Attack on Titan in the sense that like they got a smaller one, but then they got this big one called like the Great, I forgot what it was called. It's like it looks bigger than the Colossal Titan. That's how
it looked like something out of Final Fantasy 16.
Yes, or Shadow Colossus.
Or Shadow Colossus.
It was that big. I'm like, yo, this is like, okay, what's happening? So she like kills, like some attack her. She kills one, and she's like, oh, that's all I had to do to kill it. Well, I could have, but then she didn't realize like there was a certain way she hit one to kill it. She tried to do it to the next group, and they was like, nah. Then there's this random swordsman come out of nowhere, straight Mugen. He got crazy Mugen vibes from Samurai Champloo. He's got the red jacket on, the sword, the shorts. He come through, he just slicing the dice of them. And man, like I was like, yo, I like this. Like when he actually went and killed the big one. I was like, this is kind of getting crazy because at first I'm thinking like, well, what is he gonna do?
That shit look like something out of Ashura's Wrath.
Yes.
Ooh.
I was like, man, I gotta say that's right now. That's like, out of the new ones. That's one that's on my radar heavy. Like because like I kind of skip around. I'm not gonna just give a whole synopsis of the first episode, but I'll skip to like the end. Like they kind of like he's like a visitor. Like he's from some other world. So they got this premise of like different worlds.
It seemed like he was the isekai type character.
I think that's what I'm thinking too. But they didn't make it seem like typical isekai. Like they didn't present it as such. Yeah. And that's what I thought too. Like he's got to be from a different world and just got zapped there somehow. They go into like his backstory of like his fighting style, but at the end, she then speaks of like other worlds and other visitors.
No, she wasn't speaking of other visitors. She was speaking of other people with like insane levels of power. They weren't visitors necessarily. They were just hella strong.
I know I think one of them was. I think one of them.
One of them might have been, but like I actually watched the second episode. I don't know if you saw it.
I hadn't seen the second episode.
Right. Oh, so the second episode, like the show is very world buildy. Like the first episode was all like plot about the girl and then the swordsman. And there's a really interesting plot twist for the end of the first episode because like the girl gets saved and you normally like you get saved and the girl is like, oh, I'm and it's almost like a romance type thing gets started and it was not that.
Yeah,
like,
I can tell you, she was not about this.
It's funny what she says. She's like, "Oh, I'm free now. I can do something wild." I'm like, I was not expecting her to say that.
I mean, she directly was like, "I don't like this," and like it was almost as if she. And that was the thing that kind of sold me on watching more of it. Because at first I was like, I don't know about this. Like, the vibes were okay, but I wasn't as high on it as Devin. But what sold me was when she got saved, she wasn't like immediately grateful and she wasn't like, oh, I'm in love with this guy. She was like pissed and almost despondent at just how weak she was and how she wasn't able to do anything and how this person came along with all this power. And like, he was not no superhero. It wasn't no All Might. Yeah. He had all the might, but he wasn't none of All Might. He was just like, he was a jerk. He was like, oh, you want to die? I mean, I don't know. Why would you want to die? Like everything here seems so much fun. And she like, bro, my whole city is in ashes. What do you mean the city? Like things seem fun. And that was before the giant robot woke up. My whole city is in ashes. Like, what is fun about this? He was like, yeah, you get to fight as much as you want. Yeah, I get to fight to my heart's content. I'm finna go out there and do that. And like, she watched him like easily lay out not only the other robots, but the giant colossal titan type thing. And she was like, this not it. And like, I'm disgusted by this person. And like, she was just so pissed off at her own weakness, which kind of reminds me a little bit of Tower of Heaven, where like the main character was just like, where like the main villain winds up being like, just so angry at their own weakness. They start doing things that you really shouldn't be doing. And so like, that was an interesting episode. And then the second episode just shows you that it's like, those two aren't the main characters. They switch to a completely different area, completely different setting, but it's the same world. And you see more of the like, it's just more world building. And they just keep introducing these characters that have like godlike power. It's not like there's some people that it's like, it's kind of like, oh, you strong, but I'm actually strong. And like they keep introducing these characters that you like, oh yeah, should be talented, should go on to do great things, and then they introduce like an actual anime type protagonist, and they're all vastly different from one another. And so that kind of stuff is very. It was a solid first episode. It wasn't going to be one of the ones I talked about, but I'm glad Devin brought it up because I was pretty much digging it.
What show is this again?
Ishida.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I mean, I like that. Like I said, that ending when she like she talked about the dude that was like. He was mastering the word magic and stuff like that. I was like, it almost reminded me of like a Souls like setup or some type of game where like you hear this lore of these other characters like Godric and all that, all these like just strong, powerful people that are in different places. Had some dude had like Kung Lao with like a staff. I was like, this is pretty solid. I mean, I really enjoyed the first episode. I'm definitely invested to see more of that one.
My problem with Ishida, if anything, is that I'm concerned about episode count. Because like if it's 12 episodes, very clearly what they're doing needs to be like a long epic. And I think it's either a light novel or a manga, and it's pretty long running. They've introduced a lot of different characters, and I'm like, if all this is 12, 13 episodes, that's not gonna be long enough to get the development.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because I mean, what they set up something so epic, like you said. I mean, this first episode, he literally fought a thing that was like I said, almost looked like bigger than the Colossal Titan. So on the
It
first
was,
episode.
and that fight was like really grand, epic scale fight. I was
Yeah.
really impressed, especially with like that and the music. And the second episode does something similar. And also when you get to the end, like you saw the end of the episode, you saw all those characters she was talking about, and it becomes clear in the second episode, oh, y'all gonna introduce us to all these characters, and they're not gonna be like a party that hangs out. It's just gonna be like episodes of this is what this character's like, this is what this character's like. I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. Rakeem, what's your first one?
So my first one I'm going to talk about is going to be Solo Leveling. I had to bring this one up first because this one is one I have actually read some of the manhwa for. I've never finished it. I got like 80 something chapters in, so I think I can talk about this early part of it pretty well. It is my little brother's favorite manhwa of all time. For people who don't know, this is a Korean manhwa. It's very, very popular. It was kind of one of the most standout manhwas of its era. I think it's maybe 10 or 11 years old now. But when it came through, like a lot of manhwa to this day mimic what this manhwa did with this character, and even anime I've watched copy the design of this character, stuff that happened in this manhwa. So I'm actually kind of hyped to kind of see this kind of OG come back, even though I think there are manhwa and anime that have done what it did better now. It's kind of like it was kind of ahead of its time back then. So the beginning of this episode was very interesting. So the concept, you're kind of introduced to the concept of how solo leveling works. There are these gates that opened up in the world randomly a few years in the past, and monsters came out of them. And at the same time, these people who were called hunters developed powers and abilities to fight these specific monsters. And how the basic gist of it is hunters go in the gates to fight the monsters. They collect resources, and they kind of have an economy based off the resources they get from killing these monsters that trickles down into the economy of like Japan and the world itself, to the point where like there are like political discussions about how the resources they use can be used to conserve energy and like save energy for the, become like a resource for energy for the economy and things like that. So it ties into like the politics and the world and everything in between. However, like there's kind of a cost to it, like a human element of it. Each hunter who manifested power to go and hunt the monsters in this world, their power level is set. So if you got barely any power, that's all you are. You're ranked by your power level. So you have like C rank, B rank, A rank, S rank. And wherever you got, that's it. You don't get any stronger. That's it, bro. It's kind of like what they call like 3-star athletes and 5-star athletes. Like you ranked at a higher level and you have a peak, and your peak is basically that's it. And so the main character, Song Jin-woo, he's a very, very weak hunter. He basically got the short end of the stick on a lot of stuff as far as his abilities to hunt. And he has a little sister and a mother who is ailing, almost dying in the hospital. So going into these gates and trying to get these resources are like a necessity for him. Even though he's a weak hunter and he isn't that powerful, this is the only job he can do to get the money he needs to support his family. So he's basically almost every mission damn near killing himself off the most basic monsters to the high level monsters just to scrape by to get money. And that's how you introduce this character. So the first episode deals with Song Jin-woo going to a new hunt with a gate. He's working with more experienced hunters. So there's a good balance of the team. And you kind of right away get a gist of like really how unempowered he feels. He has to fight like a basic goblin inside the gate. And the basic goblin almost kills him. Like the most generic, regular beast you've ever seen. Packed him up. And he was lucky that one of his friends, he's been on missions on this girl, is a healer. She's scolding him like, hey, man, you got to stop putting yourself at risk all the time. Take jobs that aren't that dangerous. Because the gates are actually like screened, and they'll let the hunters know in advance, like, hey, you might want to have C rank, higher level hunters here because it might be more dangerous. So where it turns in the first episode, where I thought it was interesting, is that you have the hunters clean up everything. Song Jin-woo barely scrapes by, but he survives. And the gate isn't closed yet, because when they kill all the monsters, the gate closes. They take the resources and use it for money and items and things. They find a secret door in the back, and they have to decide at that moment. The hunters are like, hey, we should let the Hunter Association know about this. I don't even think it's called Hunter Association. I'm thinking that from Hunter x Hunter, but basically the same idea. Let them know, hey,
You gotta let the authorities know.
let the authorities know about this and say, let's get some backup, get some high rate hunters, see, make sure this is good. And they're like, we could do that, but if we take that, this is where kind of the emphasis of like the economy of solo leveling works. The hunters are like, look, our resources, like we make our money this way. So if we let these guys cut in on this and we find a bigger, like another monster or a boss monster or whatever that has more resources, that cut of the money is taken from us. And then like everybody's got these excuses. Oh, I got a wife at home. I need the extra money for this. I need extra money for that. So they end up voting on it and going through the door. And inevitably, as we all know, once you have an option to go somewhere that you shouldn't go and you go there, something bad is going to happen. And that's where the end of the first episode starts. And this is where it gets really interesting because it gets a lot darker than, to me, most of the rest of the series is. As far as when I read the manga, we're introduced to like this room, and it's just like this king kind of figure in a chair, and there's knights and things on the side. And they're looking for the monster, and they can't find it. It's just like an empty room with like some statues. And then all of a sudden, somebody moves the wrong way, and they get bifurcated by one of the knights, and the knight moves back into the structure. And at the beginning, in the part of the episode, there was like a thing on the wall that read commandments. Thou shalt revere God. Have faith in God and things like that. And over the course of a few minutes, the hunters realized they met the monster. It was a statue, and they have no idea what to do because the thing is so powerful and it can like annihilate them in an instant. So they are like very confused. So what makes this part made me kind of buy into the episode more is that you think you're like dealing with this strong monster, but it's not responding to everything everybody's doing. They're confused at the moment. But then Song Jin-woo, who is the weakest among them, even though he's not the strongest dude, he remembers the commandments. And as he's thinking about like noticing two, it's part of episode 1 and 2. It's kind of split.
Both
like
come out at the same time?
No.
Oh, episode 2 must just came out.
Yeah, it came out today.
Okay. I definitely didn't get a chance to see that one yet. My bad.
Yeah, episode 2 came out today. So spoiled it. Like the commandments come into play, and you kind of get to see people kind of squirm more. They're breaking under pressure. Even the higher level hunters, they're breaking under pressure. They're just running out. They're getting killed instantly. And Song Jin-woo basically has to calm everybody down. He's thinking through the problem using the commandments. He figures out, hey, we need to do this specific way. This is a puzzle. This is not like a regular creature we're just fighting. We have to solve it through this puzzle and figure out how these commandments work. It's really cool. So I won't spoil what happens there. But towards the end of the episode, Jin-woo has figured out how to get everyone out alive. But because of like their selfishness and kind of how this world, when you think about how this world is brought together because of how these gates work and the economics of it, hunters are really kind of selfish and self-contained. You see that a lot from these hunters. They don't give a freak about his plan. They end up just bolting out of there and abandoning them. And then the end of the episode is kind of how he kind of gets screwed, but it leads to him getting his awakening and how the rest of the show progresses. So as a manga reader, I'm excited for other people to watch it. I want to see people's perspectives on it. This is a very dark episode, like between 1 and 2. Not every episode is going to be like this. After this, the tone is going to shift a little bit to more of a developmental kind of training kind of thing. But I really like the opening of this manga because it just went in a direction I didn't expect. I enjoyed it. So I give a shout out to Solo Leveling on this one.
Yeah, I watched Solo Leveling earlier in the week. The first episode, I didn't realize the second episode was out. That was why I really stopped you, not because of the second episode, but because I didn't know, and I thought you were going off like manga knowledge. I was like, hold on, let's keep this, for anime onlys at least.
My bad.
No, you good. I just was making sure that you weren't gonna go too deep into like the manhwa. But you was just talking about what happened in both episodes, so that's cool with me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I watched the first episode. I give it credit. The end of it was very fascinating to me, just by a lot of shows, because it has a lot of the same type of violence that Ishida has, and Ishida, like, because when those statues start moving, it was like, hey man, you don't know what's going on, and then they start falling one by one. In the first episode, I think at least 2 or 3 of them, 2 or 3 people die just off of at the end of the first episode, and you're sitting there wondering like, oh crap, okay, well, what's gonna happen to save them? And then it was like, ain't no saving. We cut an episode off. And I'm like, whoa, even Goblin Slayer, dark as it is, like at the end of the episode 1, the Goblin Slayer shows up and starts killing the goblins. And so there's this, we've been taking as deep into the darkness as we can go. And now we've got a hand to carry us back out of the darkness. That's what Goblin Slayer did. He should have kind of had that a little bit too, even though the hand carrying us out of the darkness was kind of a monster in and of himself. But like Solo Leveling didn't have that. It just cuts off. Like the main character's like, holy crap, I'm in this situation I should not be in. I shouldn't have put myself in this. Now we're all going to die. And so that was a very cool way to end that episode. I thought that was really ballsy.
Yeah. Also, I have to. The ramifications of this episode are something that are going to tie into the rest of the series for the main character himself. This moment is a pivotal part of his character development, and he will never forget this moment. So it's like kind of a very important part of the manga. So I'm glad they kind of got this part right. That's all I was saying.
I'm very curious to see where that show goes. I will probably wind up watching episode 2 when I get the chance, probably tomorrow morning or something like that. But yeah, I liked what I saw. I have a list. I watched about 7 anime this season so far, and of those, I think this was like 3rd as far as, because this was again not one of the ones I was going to talk about. This was 3rd. Ishiro was 4th. But yeah, they were both solid. I plan on sticking with them unless they do something to throw me off. But right now, pretty good. Terrence, what's your first one?
Let's see. I have a feeling you'll probably talk about it, Sage, but you'll probably go more in depth, so I think it'll be fine. Metallic Rouge, like that one is very interesting. Like that one has a very interesting first episode that I think if it pulls it off, I think it'll be one of the best anime of the season. It just for one thing, it reminds me so much of Lycoris or Licorice, however you would like to pronounce it. Recoil, yeah. It reminds me a lot of that. Just because the way that one of the main characters is designed and just kind of like the vibe of it. You have like these buddy female characters and just the show following them. Rouge herself, she definitely seems like she's gonna be like prime cosplayer, like waifu of the season material, just based on her look. But the show in of itself, I mean, it looks great. Like the animation is great. The art is nice. The story, I'll admit, I don't quite understand what's fully going on just yet. I think it's kind of one of those things where it's setting itself up, and I'm sure there'll be more that's explained later. Like pretty much they have like these Tekkaman things that show up in the episode, and we don't know really what's going on with that just yet, but it looks cool. I mean, so for now, I'm interested in it. I'm interested to see where it goes, and I think that is one of the ones that a lot of people were interested in this season. And the fact that it's being done by Bones is like, hey, you can't ignore anything that's done by Bones. If they have their hands in it, then there must be something up with it. I don't know if it's an anime original. Is it?
Yes.
Anime original. Okay.
Very much so.
Well, that means that we don't know where it's going to go then, which actually I like. I like when there's anime originals that come out. That way you can't have the manga readers come in talking about, oh, it ain't this, it ain't that. It's like, no, you just watch the show for what it is and you go off of that. Week by week, we're seeing what happens. You don't have any prior knowledge of what's going on or any of that nonsense. You're just along for the ride. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing what happens with Metallic Rouge. I think that it's going to be a pretty cool show.
That's what's up. I will be talking about Metallic Rouge in a second. Will, what's your first one, bro?
My first one actually is I chose it based simply off the title of it because I'm just like, how the hell do you get to that point? And Devin mentioned it before we started, the wrong way to use healing magic. So I picked it up because I'm just like, okay, let's see what this is about. And it's literally about this basic, bland, probably a background character kid, and he ends up basically being friends with the popular ones because they offer him an umbrella and be like, hey, let's just walk home together. So he got like one of them golden high school moments. And I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. That's what's up. But then out of nowhere, they stop somewhere in the park and say, hey, y'all hear bells? And he like, I don't know what you hearing, but I hear not a thing. Walks towards them after saying, no, I hear bells. I hear bells. He walks in, a gold circle opens up on the floor. And he's just like, what is happening? And all of a sudden, they in front of a king in his kingdom saying we use hero summoning to bring y'all here. And we came to get accomplished individuals. And he just like, I'm not nobody special. Why? I just got dragged here. What am I supposed to be doing? So get me up out here. Like, we need to take you to the crystal ball to see what your magic is. Homegirl got lightning. The guy got light magic. You realize the most popular girl in school likes Dungeons and Dragons and shit. That's funny as hell to me. I forgot to throw that part out there. And then he walk up to the orb and it turned green, and everybody in there just freeze like, what color did you get? What color was the crystal ball again? Walked in there, told the king. He said, no, you didn't. You didn't get green. You got nothing. You just got dragged along for the ride. You ain't special. You nobody. And
he got the shield hero magic, didn't he?
He pretty much.
Nah, it's.
I'm joking, obviously.
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna let him explain it because it's like that, but not like that.
Yeah, it's like that, but not like that. After that, somebody pulls up green hair, real rough around the edges. We don't know nothing about her, but apparently the magic he got is so rare. Apparently healing magic is the most rare magic in this universe. And he just so happened to have it. And the woman that pulls up sees him, and she asks about the heroes. They was like, hey, the other two heroes in the other room, they got the magic. They got some magic on them. Go talk to them real quick. Don't worry about this one. He ain't got nothing. And then somebody spilled the beans accidentally and said,
he spilled the beans. He was like, you didn't tell me what type of magic I had.
Yeah, you didn't tell me what color my magic was, what it meant. It turned green, and she looked at him and was like, you got green? And
it's not like drugs almost.
And dude said, you got green? She homegirl put him in a magic bubble, took him through the castle, threw him out. Green hair lady chased that bubble, took him out of it, and carried him back to her cabin and said,
that was hilarious.
I'm training you. You with me. We gonna get this healing magic together. You in the house with me and my boys. And I'm just like, you just
boys look like prisoners too.
They do,
just
bro.
roughnecks.
Busted teeth.
Roughnecks.
Got a couple elves in there with the big purple eyes. I'm just like, bro, that's just, yeah. But other than that, I want to watch this because it seems silly enough for me to sit down with it. I know it's an isekai, but at least Truck-kun wasn't involved, or nobody dying had to be involved.
No Truck-kun.
But so I'm super cool with the way this kind of started. I'm gonna keep watching it to see what happens because healing magic being a rare thing in a fantasy world seems so weird to me. So I want to see how that turns out.
Second episode's out too.
Oh yeah, I gotta watch that. I'm glad you said something.
I watched the first episode of Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. That was another one I watched. It was pretty funny. It subverted a few things. It's not super clever. Like if you've seen a lot of isekai, I wouldn't necessarily tell you to go out and watch it. If you're curious about it, I would tell you to give it a shot. Just the first episode, just being like the protagonist being like, oh, I don't hear no bells, and it's like, yeah, because you're not supposed to be here. Like, I'm supposed to be here. But yeah, he gets transported to like the alternate world, and he's trying to figure it out. And while he's trying to figure it out, the people that are actually supposed to be there have such contrasting reactions to being sent to an alternate world, because the guy's like, hey man, fuck this. He got a realistic reaction. Fuck this bullshit. Send me back home. Like, you want me to fight for you? I don't know you, and I don't like this is an insane thing. Like, why do you have me here? Send me back. Only for the king to be like, I mean, we don't know how. We can try to figure it out while you fight, while you do the fighting that we asked you to do, but we don't know how to send you home, which is such a crazy thing to say.
Deal?
Meanwhile, the girl, both of them super talented. They got their whole lives ahead of them. They super they got their like brightest possible future. But the guy's like, hey man, I want to get back to that future. And the girl's like, I'm not particularly interested in anything that's out there beyond school. So I mean, if I'm here, that's cool. And then she turns into like she kind of reveals herself to be a giant nerd, like Will said, to the point where she's just she's like embarrassing. Like the protagonist is looking over like, my image of you has been completely shattered. I thought you was cool. Like, what the hell are you doing? Because like you could like, as they're explaining everything to her, she's like literally bouncing on the ground, like hopping in place because she's so excited because she got these powers. She's been brought to this other world. She's like, oh, I'm finna get powers. Oh man, it's lit. Okay, what kind of powers do I get? Do I get to do some cool shit? And the main character's like, if you don't chill the fuck out, like you're supposed to be like a cool beauty. Like, what the hell going on? And she was like, I don't give a damn about none of that. I just want to be able to do some cool shit in a fantasy world. So I thought that was pretty funny. The main character getting kidnapped by the end of the episode, pretty much by his own fault, because like the other characters were blatant. Like the king is blatantly like, hey man, just shut up for a minute, because this girl, she ain't no joke. And like her aura tells you she ain't no joke. And he just like, but you didn't tell me what powers I had. I got the green shit. What does that mean? And she like, all right, you got green, huh? I got something for you. And it's just, I mean, like it's a great comedy episode. If that's what you, if you looking for some comedy, I mean, because I watch a lot of serious shit, so that was pretty cool. My first pick is Metallic Rouge. Terrence was right. I watched the first episode actually like about an hour ago, and so it's pretty fresh in my mind. It's really good. It's celebrating Bones' 25th anniversary, and it's just like a typical Bones production for all the good that means. It's beautiful to look at. Music is on point. Just the character design is great. The world design, like I really dig the world design that they've got going on. It's very like futuristic, but not like unrecognizable. And it almost gives off like a more colorful Big O. Like
I was just gonna say it kind of has that noir-esque feeling to it in a sense. Yeah,
it's like cyberpunk noir, like very colorful, like neon kind of colors, but it's like, you know, very dark world. Like you could tell as far as like the different armors, I don't know what's going on with that. I do know that society's been split up between like androids and humans, and the humans are kind of abusing the androids a little bit, but the androids can't really do anything about it. They brought up like the 3 laws of robotics, so of course they can't harm humans. And so there's this part in the episode with this is really, really dark, where like apparently all the androids have to live off of like a certain type of food, and they have to have it every day or they will die. And it's so fucked up because like one of the humans just takes the drug from somebody, and so like the dude, the poor guy is just like, hey man, I don't have it, like I can't find it. And the girl and like one of his female robot coworkers is like, well, I mean, you can have mine. And he was like, no, if I take yours, then you die. And so you're wondering like, where does this go? Does he get saved? Hell no, he don't get saved. He dies at the end of the episode. Like he dies begging the dude that stole it from him, like, please give me that shit back. And the dude's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he just dies, and it's kind of funny, but like in a very, very dark way, because he dies begging for like his sustenance, and then like literally seconds later he's being scooped up, put in the trash. And it just shows you like how they view androids in this society. It's like, man, that's fucked up. I do know the different robots, and I wonder, like, because some of the stuff, like Terrence said, it's unclear. The only thing we know is that you have these robots that are effectively immortal, and they live forever and shit. And like the main character is like also a robot, and she's like, oh, I'm killing some of y'all because y'all have killed humans. But I get the sense that there has to be more to it than that, because like the humans very much seem in the wrong. The woman she killed, I'm like, I don't know if she did anything wrong. Like they didn't show her doing anything specifically evil. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, is Metallic Rouge and her friend, like, are they on the right side of things, or are they on the wrong side of things and don't realize it? And I kind of hope it's that, because that would make the story more interesting. But yeah, I mean, like everything about that was pretty cool. Love the fight scenes. I was watching and I was like, damn, Bones needs to make an Iron Man anime. And I know an Iron Man anime exists, but it fucking sucked. And I need like another one that's like, you know, a full core 26 episodes. You've got Rhodey, you've got Iron Man, you've got his supporting cast, some of his villains and shit. I want that. I want somebody from the West to write the story, and I want like a Japanese studio to animate it, and we get like some magic out of it. And Bones is the studio, clearly, because like I was looking at the way they were animating the armors and the fights, and I was like, yep, that's how it should be done. So great first episode. That was my number 1. Devin, what's your number 2, bro?
You know what? As much as I want to say Marshall, y'all know how much I love it. I've already watched the first episode. It's just more of the same. My boy Mash is just he's that fix for One Punch Man for right now, since that's on a hiatus. But I think I'm gonna actually switch it with a new one. Let me pull up one of my little notes that I had. If it'll come up. So I think I'm gonna choose Buchigiri. I actually really liked that first episode. Me and Ricky watched it.
We watched it together.
And man,
what a show!
It's a show. It's it kind of like the cover art kind of gave me like the Kenichi Mighty's Disciple vibes, some JoJo, because it's like delinquents is like a huge thing of this. Like it's like school, the school looks horrible. Like they got like graffiti like not on the outside, or it's like graffiti in the hallways. Like what kind of school are y'all in? The main character,
from, Stand By Me.
man,
It did feel like that.
Oh wow.
That's not even a joke.
Yeah,
It did.
Like, he goes to the main character goes. I think he's like transferring schools or something. He goes to the classroom, like the typical. Oh, meet the new kid. Everybody just like doing their own thing. It's like, oh, we got so and so. They just like they just go back doing what they doing. Folks like tussling and stuff. I'm like, all right. Then of course that trope. He catches a little pretty girl in the classroom. She's sitting there all cute and sweet. She's she's not going crazy like everybody. It's like he fell in love like immediately. Like, I'm in love. Oh my gosh. I'm like, bro, you just saw this girl. Like, well, I'm in love. He's like, I wanna take her out. Man, I was not expecting like places for this show to go, man. He winds up talking to this girl and she's like seeming all sweet. I'm thinking the whole time, man, I ain't falling for it, man. Something up, man. Either she's like the girlfriend or something like delinquent,
real tough guy,
gang leader or something. And lo and behold, she wasn't the girlfriend. They showed like this guy, almost around me like Dio. Who do you say you look like to you, Rakeem?
Like somebody that do like Poseidon from
Ragnarok. God damn.
Oh goodness.
He was just like all wild, just he's like the gang leader. People like going up to say, "Hey, boss!" Like I couldn't. It's one of the they show like this fight in earlier on, like it's in like the school backyard or whatever, like playground or whatever, and like this big, tall, swole dude was fighting this guy. He's like, they was like, man, that dude, he tough, man. He can't be beat. So they find out that the main character, the big swole dude, that's his friend. It's funny because there were two guys that he met, and he thought he was about to get beat up, and he sees the big swole dude in the distance. He's like, oh, him. He's coming. All of a sudden, he's like, "Hey, what's up, man? I see you in 5 years, man." It was like I love when they do like this is a trope that they do in anime. Like the gentle giant, like it's this big tall guy. He's a very just nice guy. Like he ain't, but he got hands though. Don't try.
You do have hands.
Try Jesus, but don't try him. Because, but yeah, he's a cool dude. He talks about the man. He's like, yeah, man, this is my guy from back in the day. We used to train, man. He's like, he's real strong. They be like, he ain't strong. So what happens is they go to arcade. They're playing like, I don't know, a Street Fighter-esque game. And these guys come up, I guess, from like a different school.
Pavement fighter.
And they like, hey, man, you coming up in here like you run the place, man. You on our sticks, man. We don't like that. I'm like, bro, just let the man play. They take the man clothes for whatever reason. So they chasing him down the street. He's like in his underwear, in his drawers, running down the street. They chase him into this house that was foreshadowed earlier. These two guys was basically what's the characters from Power Ranger Bulk and
Vulcan Skull.
Vulcan Skull. Basically, that's what they look like to me. They were in this place and it's like heard this rumbling in like this little like a closet or something. So he goes back. He runs to that place. They chase him to this place. He picks up a gun. He's like, all right, man, I got the stick now, man. Y'all better chill out, man. Something happens. The gun misfires. He gets shot. The bullet bounces off the room. He gets shot in the head. And they was like, the funniest thing, they was like, ew. I was like, whoa. Chasing him, taking his clothes and chasing him around the city was not a problem. But he gets shot in the head. You're like, oh, let's get out of here. Like, okay, all right. So what happens is this gun is apparently enchanted. He unleashes a Majin. And this Majin is, I guess, apparently looking for like strong people to like give a wish to. He grants wishes. He asked this guy, he said, hey man, I got a wish for you, man. What you want? And they do this like very epic, like the motion lines. He's like, I want to lose my virginity. I'm just like, sir.
Of all the wishes you could
have. Of all the wishes, and he's dead serious. The Majin's like, you sure you don't want to be part? Because like the Majin is already saying, like, oh, I know what you want. You want wealth and fame. You probably want power. He like, nah, man.
I want some draws, bro. I want the draws.
It's just like,
Yo,
I'm like, this is wild, man. Like, so later on, he takes the girl out. They go out for ice cream. Apparently, I guess he didn't realize he's apparently lactose intolerant because he's also probably on top of that nervous, so his stomach starts bubbling. He got to go to the bathroom. This is
God
after he's
dang.
gotten the margin.
yeah, rough day.
Got the BGs. That's crazy.
And it's wild because he's into like rocks. So he like stones. He collects stones. So he went to the store and bought something called a chicken blood stone. I'm like, all right. I guess the color of it is like, I don't know. I guess the color is what they get the name from, but he's really into those. And he actually makes one and puts the girl's name on it. He's gonna give it to her. So they go out for ice cream. He gets up and he's like, "It's time to profess my love." He gives her the stone. She's like, "Ew!" Like in her head, she didn't say it out loud, but she's like very like snarky, like "Ew." Like she didn't say it. All of a sudden,
She thought it.
all of a sudden, just like these group of people on these bikes come up, and it's the green haired dude. And I was like, "There's something up about this girl. She's too nice." I'm thinking it's the girlfriend, but the dude, the green haired guy, he comes in. He's apparently her brother. So this like
Okay.
the ring leader, he's the brother. The main character's talking to her. He grabs her arm, and the brother's like, "How dare you put your hands on my sister?" He starts beating he just beats this man into the ground.
You beat the hell out of it.
The dude on the ground like, "What? He trying to kill me?" like he's not about to die. Like
Should have made a better wish.
Yeah, I know.
And then the sister's over there. She's like, "Oh my gosh, my big brother, he loves me so much. He's about to beat this man to the ground." I'm like, this is your fault. I'm over here getting kind of stoned. Like, I was just wow. So I knew it. I knew there was something up with that girl, man. But the climax of the end of that first episode, the Majin comes out again because apparently, like from the opening, there's gonna be like multiple Majins. I guess different characters gonna get one. But the Majin's like, "All right, man, you getting beat to sleep, man. Time to make a choice. Make that wish, man." This dude's on the ground. He gets up. He's like, "I want to lose my virginity." Again, he shouts it out, "I want to lose my virginity." And I guess because maybe you just have to make whatever wish you desire the most, because the Majin's like, "All right, bet." But somehow he got super powerful. Like it was almost like Rakeem said it was like Shaman King, because when he punches, it's almost kind of like JoJo. Like the thing is like kind of mimicking his move. His arm just gets huge and broad, and he just punches the dude. I'm like, because you want to lose your virginity?
He's standing on the wrong
That's
business.
the spirit of the hand that he been using. Never mind.
My man got hit with that dying will bullet from Reborn.
Hey,
Man,
He's like, I'm going to lose my virginity at any
Hey.
cost.
hey, man, he's standing on business. All right, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. When I saw it, I'm like, this might just be. But I actually, that one, I'm gonna watch that again and see if it keeps where it's going. I want to see where it's going. But it was definitely entertaining. I'll say that much.
Buchigiri is actually one of the ones I didn't watch, although I thought about it. You kind of sold me at least to give the first episode a shot. So I'm interested.
Yeah, you done sold me now, damn it.
Yeah,
Because I was about to ask you, bro.
It's
I was gonna say,
This
is this just JoJo Part 4?
It is over the top.
like there's a
Definitely.
part like the girl, she's eating the ice cream and it like melts and she like licks it. He's like, "Oh," it's like, "All right, brother. Okay." He's like, "Oh man, like that's nice."
Get your horny ass on somewhere, boy. Hey, bro, chill out, man.
Oh man.
Terrence, man, what's your second one, bro?
So for me, my second one is going to be A Sign of Affection. This one is interesting. When I saw the trailer for it last year, I was like, yeah, this is definitely one that I need to check out. Because for one, it has a protagonist that you don't normally see in anime or just really in any medium, to be honest. And it's a romance / shoujo story that takes place in college. So for all of you complaining about like, oh, no adult protagonist, it's like, here you go. You have another romance story. It's in college. They're all of age. Here you are. But anyway, the story is about this girl. Like I said, she's in college and she's deaf. She's hearing impaired. Yeah, I'll just say she's hearing impaired because she wears hearing aids. And I guess she can hear slightly, but she doesn't like actually talk. So she signs, and she also like writes notes on her phone and also like a board and everything. And all of her friends, they respond to her back through like she can read some lips too. In this subway, or I guess what do you call it in Japan? I guess not the subway. We'll just call it subway. All right.
Bullet train?
Yeah, bullet train. Yeah. I was like, I know there's a specific term for it. But anyway, she gets into this bullet train, and there's this incident, and pretty much this guy ends up interfering with the incident, helps her out, and she, as a result, kind of wants to get to know him, and throughout the episode, she's trying to learn more about him, and she and her friend, they go to this cafe where he works at, and so kind of like shenanigans ensue from there. It's a very sweet episode, and what's really cool about it is I was kind of worried that they weren't going to do too much with like actual sign language, because that's kind of what I was looking forward to, is like having that as an element of the show, and it seemed like they were just going to rely on lip reading, which I was like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of it a little bit. But it does seem like toward the end they do like the character that she's interested in, they do exchange a little bit of signing. So maybe as the show goes on, maybe he'll learn more about sign language, because he already knows like multiple languages. So maybe that'll be a part of it. What's also cool about the show is that they have very pronounced lips in the show. You know, like most anime, they just kind of like draw a line for the lips, and that's kind of it. But for this, they have like actual fully drawn lips, and there is a purpose for that. It's because she reads lips is so that, you know, you can see everything a bit more pronounced, like, you know, you would in real life, which is kind of cool. So I like it just because it has an unconventional protagonist, like a type of protagonist that we need more of. And it's one of those stories where they're all adults, and it'll be interesting to see things from like that adult/college angle. So I'm looking forward to seeing where the rest of the series go, and I'll be keeping my eye out on it.
What's up, Will?
I was gonna say Terrence beat me to the punch on it, because I did watch the first episode of it too. I wanted to also mention, just to add on to him, did you also notice that in like certain like bits of scenes where like we're kind of focusing on her thoughts, or focusing on from her perspective, you notice that they completely erase the sound?
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, it is like sound. Like sound design is definitely a big part of that show. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like they completely erase the sound when it gets to her perspective, or when she starts like speaking within her head. Like we hear her thoughts, but she doesn't speak.
Yeah.
But when it gets to certain like parts, and it just like we want to take it from her perspective, you hear nothing around her, or if she's looking at someone talk, you don't hear them talk. You just see the mouth move. That's it. And I thought that was a really nice touch to the show, to show that like, well, we know she can't hear, even though she does have a bit of a hearing aid. And I had to go and learn about that myself too, that those hearing aids and so on and so forth don't really necessarily give them natural, normal hearing back. But what it does for them is give them like a good idea of the sound that's happening around them.
Yeah.
That's what it does. It's kind of like that. And I thought that was really nice to at least learn myself, because I didn't understand that at first. I was like, I know it's not a cochlear implant. So I was like, what is this?
Yeah, and just you saying that in and of itself, like I think that's why this show is important. Like you having a protagonist like that, I think will educate people on people with that kind of disability, which I think is really cool. Because like you said, I think there's one scene when she's like waking up and she doesn't have the hearing aids in. I think at that point, we don't hear any sound, and then when she puts them on, then that's when we start to hear sound. Which so like I said, I think the show is really cool. And based on what I've heard about the manga, like the manga is really well done. So I hope that the anime is equally as good. So
yeah.
Yo, that was actually a really dope series. Because that one, I mean, like I definitely, since there's so many, you just start marking them off really quickly. Like when I look at the chart, I just X, and so I never even like saw that one. Like I kind of didn't know it existed, but that's actually really cool. It's doing a lot, and as anime gets more popular and they make more of them, so many more of them, so often you get things that are just a retread of an idea that we did before. And worse, like sometimes specific ideas become subgenres. Like now the thing is the villainous, and like the villainous.
There's like 3 of those this season.
Yes, it is.
Alone, there's like 3, and in like last season there were a couple, and the season before there've been a lot of those, and it's such a specific idea that you wouldn't think that you'd see it more than once, but no, they turned it into a genre unto itself. And like when you see stuff like that so often, it becomes hard to just want to watch anime every season, because it's like, I've seen so much of this before, and it's really cool that we still get shows like A Sign of Affection, because like there aren't like everything else is like, hey man, this is some shit I hadn't seen before, and it's just like a minor difference between this and the last time. So that was really cool. Will, what's your second one?
My other show was a choice because I started seeing bits and pieces of it on Twitter. Not necessarily spoiling anything for me, but I just kept seeing. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna check this out too since I've seen it. It's called Chain Soldier. Macho said, "Hey, no slave."
I've heard about that one.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie to you.
That one.
I'm not gonna lie to you. The first little bit I said, ain't no way this show just doing that. I'm thinking that might be just a first off thing. I watched both. I watched the 2 episodes that are out. This is probably gonna be one of the most horny shows this season. It is going to be one of them. I'll give you a quick synopsis. It's basically, I would say this: society is kind of split between the girls and the boys. The girls can get powers from these things called peaches. They eat them and they get a specific power from them. Because in the intro, you see like a girl, like she's kind of using her hair, like basically like for my fighting game people, if you know who Amelia Rage is, you know what her hair can do. She's kind of using her hair to like hold something while she's doing something else. She has manipulation and control over her hair. And the guys, they can eat these things, but they don't get powers from it. So just like the dude said it while they were in there cleaning, they was like, we can't do nothing like the girls can. And the girls probably don't look at us like that anyways. We starting life on hard mode. So that's exactly his quote too. He said that he's just like, life just on hard mode for us guys, bro. We don't get that type of luxury. So
oh boy.
Yeah, that's what the main character and the guys in the room said. But our main character is this guy who can like super clean. Like he doesn't have like no powers, just like all the guys do. But he is like great at cleaning, great at cooking, he's great at all that household stuff. He's great at all the household stuff, right? So. And he's just like, after school, I want to get a job. I want to just live a normal life out and just kind of take care of myself, you know. We learned his sister died along the way. But as he's walking home from looking around through jobs and whatnot, he gets pulled into a world. He gets pulled into a world just randomly, just walking. All of a sudden, desolate wasteland. And big monsters pull up out of nowhere wearing these like masks, like big hulking figures with masks on. And they ready to just about kill him. Just he's about to get killed. One of the main girls appeared wearing an army uniform, and she has one of these things chained up by the neck and using it like, just basically using it like a horse to like come fight and save him. It goes really wild, and you just like, damn, so she can control one of these, but then she got a team with 3 more girls. One little girl is basically a recon beacon. That's the best way to put it. The other girl is basically Elastigirl because she can change her size at will. She can be microscopic or she can be big as all get out. And the other girl can change like her right hand into whatever weapon she deemed fit, whether it be a gun, a sword, or whatever. She can change it into that. And I was like, these characters are pretty cool. But then you kind of end up realizing somewhere along the line, the later bits of the episode, there's quite a bit of misandry in here with these girls, especially the one that could change her hand into a weapon. She cannot stand men for some reason. I can't explain it. I don't know if we're going to get into that plot point, but she can't. And the girl that could change her size, she went to an all-girl school, and she's never dealt with a guy before, so now she's having to deal with the fact that this dude that just appeared is now their caretaker at their dorm in the demon world that they're in. And they're called the Demon Defense Force. I want y'all to know that. The girls are called the Demon Defense Force. Only the girls can join this because they get the powers, but I forgot the major plot point. He's here because the main girl that saved him put a shield up and said, hey, look, I'm gonna have to try my powers on you. And we like, what the hell are your powers? So she takes her gloves off, stick a finger in his mouth, and he transforms into one of these demons that they've been fighting. And he whoops every single demon's ass out there. And when he untransforms, like when he comes down off of it, apparently a problem with her power is that once he gets done doing what he does as her slave, because that's the name of her power, slave or eternal chains or whatever it's called, she has to give them a reward. And if you've seen the clip on Twitter I'm talking about, where she basically tongue fucks this man and you seen the breast squish on his chest, yes, that happens. So the part of her power is once he gets done doing something for her, she has to reward him. If you get what I'm saying. So it got real
my
wacky on
God.
that first episode, and in the second episode, it got even hornier because the blonde girl is blackmailing him with provocative pictures, catching him off guard at every turn. It's a silly show, and I want to sit down and watch it some more to see what happens in episode 3 because they're giving us backstory on each of the girls so far. They're giving us one, they're gonna give us another one soon, I'm sure. So here's hoping that this show continues to be as silly as it sounds and as silly as I'm telling you it is. So Chain Soldier is the one I got.
This sound like I gotta watch this with my meat in my hands.
Hey, look, if you care to do such a thing, by all means.
This horny ass show, like, oh my God. I had heard about it, and I it was like a little bit of hype from like the fan service community, as it were. And I was like, oh, you know what? It's probably not for me. But I mean, I'm glad that Will saw like it was like at least gave it a shot and got a chance to see what it was like. So that's cool. Hakeem, what's your second one, bro?
Okay. For my second one, a lot of the ones on my list were ones you guys have already covered. But I'm gonna go ahead and actually go with since Devin didn't talk about it, I'm gonna go with Mashal. The returning part of Mashal this season, since it just started back. For those who haven't watched Mashal, it is a comedy parody anime, kind of in the vein of Harry Potter magic animes. Where the protagonist is a protagonist who does not have the ability to use magic, but he has like superhuman levels of physical capabilities to compensate for it, and he's going to this magic school under the guise that he is a student who can use magic, but no one else knows it. So basically the gag is every episode he uses feats of strength to mimic what magic people use normally, so he can get away with it. It's important too because in this universe, not having magic is like unacceptable. Like, ain't no muggle society. Like, they erase you from existence. They kill you if you don't have magic in this universe. So like, yeah, at birth. So him sliding in and being adopted by this man who took pity on him because he didn't have magic and raised him as his own son. It's important for him to kind of like, there's a lot of stuff that happened in between there. Why he has to go to magic school, basically got blackmailed into it. For his family survival. But going into this season, which is part of this year, the main part of this season is that the secret is out. Everybody knows he can't use magic because of the events of the end of the last season. He defeated the villain, this puppet master type magician. But as a result, someone saw him and the secret is out. And so the beginning of the season is a court case kind of deal where he has to sit before a council and basically be told, kind of be judged based on, his ability to use magic. And it's sillified a little bit. And as I was watching this and I was watching the court case, you're introduced to this group called the Divine Visionaries, which are like the strongest sorcerers in the school system. And I was like, yo, this is totally a parody of the Hashira. It's like the exact same concept, down to the fact that it's like they were introduced in this specific court case about killing somebody who normally you should kill in this situation because of your rules, but these circumstances aren't normal, just like it was for like Tanjiro's sister in Demon Slayer. In here, it's because he's not a magician, but he's been saving people and helping people and things like that. Luckily this season, he has a lot of people in his corner. He has the headmaster of the school in his corner. The headmaster knew about this all along and had been hiding it along with it because he's very interested in him. However, for unbeknownst reasons at this point, the new villain group that was introduced at the very end of the last season called Innocent Zero are also interested in MASH. And so there's a compromise made with the Divine Visionaries and the magic school and MASH were like, hey, we're going to use you to lure out Innocent Zero and figure out what they're planning. And we're going to delay your court case in the meantime. And one reason I always like Mashal is that it never takes itself too seriously. And they're like a little bit of, you don't really pay attention to it too much, but you kind of can see the character development from the beginning of the last season when he first got to the school. He didn't know anybody. He had one friend who was kind of like a aloof kind of friend. And over the course of that season, he kind of gained allies. And now in this season, they are his like full grown homies. They hanging out. They going out to eat. They going, some of these people have never had like the same like type of relationship. Mash has been hidden away from society his entire life. He's never gone out on the town and hung out with his friends at like at a fair or going to the mall. He never had a chance to do that because his life would be on the line every time he goes outside. So he kind of got to experience that, and I thought that was cool. He got to experience like what it's like to be a kid with his homies just hanging out. And there's a part where in the newer episode where he's about to go on this mission to find the Innocent Zero. Before he leaves, he's like, I got to see my father. So he goes back home, and you find out there's like a big twist in that. Some of you who probably haven't seen it yet, who are watching, I will not reveal that twist. But let's just say that once again, Mash has people in his corner watching his back, unbeknownst to him, while he's having fun the entire time. And there are a lot of players at play trying to take him out or do things to him in the shadows. So it's a very intriguing season. There's a lot of questions to be answered. Mash has to find a way to become like the divine visionary, which is like the big story of this season. And hopefully we'll see if he can accomplish that task and figure out what these Innocent Zero dudes want to do with him.
A lot. This is gonna come up in the next section when we talk about series I missed, but Mashley is definitely one of the series I didn't get a chance to get into because I never really finished the first season. I got about halfway through, liked what I saw, but I sometimes you just get distracted. But It was, like what I saw was very good, and like I just hearing you talk about like, we know now, and you just gotta like deal with that. It's on your shoulder now. That's fascinating. So I'm into it. My second one is Bang Bravering.
Okay.
This one a lot of people probably haven't seen. It's you say what?
I said I know when you said, I said the mix. I said I know that's Sage's.
Oh yeah. It's by Masami Obari. Like it's directed by Masami Obari, who's known for nothing but mechs. He's done Transformers. He's done a lot of different mechs over the years. Gravion. And like, if I went and tried to look it up, I'd come up with like hella. Oh, and he also did He helped work on Tekka Man Blade, so it's a little bit of that in there too.
Oh.
But like it's very unexpected because like when you look at it, it talks about like the full title is like Yuki Bakuhatsu Bang Bravering, and like that the Yuki is like brave, and Brave is like a series that was very popular in Japan in the 90s. It was like a kids show, super robot kids show that was like, here we've got the Transformers. Like after Transformers didn't work out, because it went on for a while past like the 80s, but it basically like eventually flamed out just like it did in America. And Takara, the studio that originally came up with Transformers, was like, well, we can get a little bit more out of this. Like we still want to keep doing some Transforming mech type shit. The kids still like giant robots. And so they made up their own series that was kind of like Power Rangers / Super Sentai, in that every year they would give you a new one, and they did it for like a decade. And so like the Brave series is like this really well known within the mecha community series of shows. And so you get to Bang Bravering, and it's like you watch the trailer, and it don't look nothing like no Brave series, and it's not an official Brave series, just so we're clear, but it is kind of calling on that a little bit. And so it doesn't look like an official Brave. It doesn't look like any type of Brave series you've ever seen. Very realistic, very down to earth. It's like about militaries fighting each other, and it looks super serious. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll give it a shot. Actually, let me not lie. I didn't want to give it a shot. And then I saw like a headline, and the headline was like, yep, this is the best bait and switch of the season. And I was like, bait and switch? And so I looked into it. Turns out, first episode is like, you've got these two really cool protagonists, and they're like piloting these like really serious, down to earth, like the Gundam Wing Leo, or like the classic Zaku for Mobile Suit Gundam, like just a basic unit, right? The basic giant robot unit. And they're piloting, and they're like good pilots, but like it's still very real robot in its approach. And then out of nowhere, midway through, like they're doing like military exercises. It's like Japan versus America, and they're doing military exercises, and it's like the two aces, and we're gonna see which one is better. And in the middle of that, they was like, fuck all that bullshit. Throw that shit out. And out of nowhere, aliens come from the sky and just start fucking obliterating all the like military giant robots and shit. They use all their weapons. The giant robots have like fucking like the alien robots have these fucking barriers that say, hey, none of that. Like all your ballistic weaponry, fuck that shit. We don't care about any of it. And so they're just completely helpless. There's nothing they could do. And like one of the characters who he talks about how he always wanted to grow up to be like a hero, like on TV and all this other shit. And then like out of nowhere, he's like trying to say everything is going terribly wrong because they can't damage these things. And they're just like not communicating. They're just destroying all the military around them. And then out of nowhere, this fucking Ultraman-like mech, colorful as fuck, comes from the sky and it talks to the main character like, hey, man, come pilot me. We can make this work. And the main character's like, who the fuck are you? He's like, don't worry about that. Get in. Let's go. Let's do some shit. And like, it's so refreshingly stupid in that way that super robots can be, just fun stupid. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? And it's clear, or at least I hope that they're gonna get a little deeper into like what's going on, because like even as the protagonist gets inside the mech, it like you start hearing this like very classic sounding super robot theme, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of okay, this is cool, and you think it's like an instrumental, and no, it's not like instrumental. The protagonist is like, what the fuck is that song? Like we in the middle of a fight. Why am I hearing music? Like what's going on? And so like he's like going around he's taking out the robots, and you still just hearing the music. And I'm like, okay, this is probably gonna be partially a straightforward super robot, but also partially potentially like a little minor elements of deconstruction, or at least like minor elements of like introspection and shit. And so I'm very curious. Like I was digging the episode for the most part. I like the thing that I need these characters to stand out a bit more, because that's really the key to any mecha show, is your protagonist has to be like big and bombastic and larger than life. And, unless doing a deconstruction like Shinji, for the most part, you need the character to be like big and bombastic and memorable and shit like that. And I'm hoping that these two characters, the two protagonists that we saw in the first episode, are going to be able to live up to that. But I liked what I saw for the most part, especially from like the fights. It's a very friendly looking alien robot. I'm always down with that. So I hope that there's more like, and then Crunchyroll picked it up, because at first I had to go I had to go to the 7 Seas and get an actual fan sub, which they don't even do anymore. You know how hard it is to get a fan sub these days? Like everything is done by Crunchyroll. And even if you're a pirate, the pirates are always just rips of like the actual Funimation type shit. And so like this was like an actual fan sub, and I was like, oh fuck. I had to hunt around for it for like a day and a half, and finally somebody had fan subbed it. But apparently Crunchyroll has licensed it, and so now I'll be able to watch like official, rips. I'm pretty excited to see what the second episode brings us. Real quick, because this did kind of run longer than I thought it would. Real quick, I just want to ask y'all, what shows have you not gotten a chance to check out that you would want to check out, Devin?
So Metallic Rouge, that looks awesome to me. I love the style of it. It's kind of like the suits kind of give me like this guy with a bow boosted armor kind of feel. Kind of Evangelion is. It looks awesome. I love the art style. It's like I get what you all are talking about with the noir vibe. It has like color, but it also has like this kind of muted, like atmospheric feel to it. Definitely gonna check that one out. The other one was, I watched a little bit of Solo Leveling, but I haven't like watched it from the beginning. But from what I saw, I'm like, I got to get into this, man. It's like I saw like just a small portion. Like my guy was going through it. I'm like, man, they struggling out here, man. Like this is. I'm going home. Can I just not be 100? I want to go home, get some ice cream. But yeah, that one looks good. And one more I had on my list. What's the other one? Actually, I think that might have been the two that I think I really. The Witch and the Beast. I think the Beast and the Witch. I want to check
first episode. The Witch and the Beast. Yeah.
I want to check that one out too. That looked like it has a really interesting premise. I think those are the three that I've seen so far. I'm like, I gotta definitely give those a shot.
You might like The Witch and the Beast, because I watched the first episode of that like literally like an hour before the show started. And I was like, I watched that and Metallic Rouge at the same time. I like Metallic Rouge better, but The Witch and the Beast is fine. It's got a very interesting little twist to it at the end. Like the main twist you'll see coming a mile away, because of course it's about like fighting witches and shit like that. And they're going to introduce like a really kind witch, and you're like, okay, well, I see where this is going already. There's some other like stuff to it that you'll see, and you'll be like, oh, okay. But like the actual twist is like a real surprise, and I don't know if I'll stick with it, but I like it enough to at least check out the second episode. Rakeem, what shows did you miss?
So the big one for me is actually the return of Blue Exorcist. It just came back for its third season. And the reason it's big for me because I never finished the first season, but this stands out for me because Blue Exorcist is an anime I'll always remember because the anime that I watched back in college before I took a very long hiatus from anime. Period. I was like watching Blue Exorcist a couple episodes in, and that was around time I was just watching a whole bunch of anime back to back, and I just got burnt out from anime for like I guess I didn't watch it for like maybe 6 to 8 months or something like that. I just didn't watch any anime at all for a while. So I always wanted to go back to Blue Exorcist because I didn't stop watching anime because Blue Exorcist was bad. I stopped watching anime because I was burnt out. But I liked Blue Exorcist, and I watched a good bit of the first season but never finished it. So I'm probably gonna go back at some point and finish the first 2 seasons and then get back into this new one. The concept of Blue Exorcist, you know, the son of the devil and his brother, and he's coming back to claim him, and he's fighting against it. He becomes an exorcist. I thought it was pretty dope, and I hope the execution in later seasons is still good. So I want to catch up on that. Other than that, me and Sage had a conversation about an anime that I've tried to get into, Kingdom, that's been going strong for several years. It also came back this season. The first season, I believe, had different animation style completely. I think there was a different studio or something.
Like 3D. Yeah, I think it's the same.
Yeah,
studio. I think they just transitioned to proper animation.
It is really awkward to watch when you're watching that first season because it does this thing, not just the 3D animation, it does the switch where it's like regular animation and it all of a sudden switches to 3D during fight scenes, and it's so jarring. It's like the one pet peeve I have in anime. I get why they do it because of like, you know, financial reasons. Yeah. But it's so jarring to watch an anime and you're into it, and all of a sudden the entire scenes and the structure of the characters look completely different from what you were watching. It takes me right out of the anime. So I haven't been able to finish Kingdom because of that. But I do want to actually get into it because I know the manga itself is like legendary and the concept is really fucking cool. And I would like to finish it. The story actually is really good too from what I've watched. So at some point I want to get through the first season and actually get to later seasons. Yes, Devin.
I just want to say real quick, you actually made me remember this. I actually give Ishiru points for this because this is one anime that has 3D that it doesn't look like it sucks. Like they melded it into a way like it actually kind of enhances each other. So shout out to them for that because a lot of this 3D stuff looks bad. I will never forgive them for doing Berserk like that. My God, that was so horrible. And just like Rakeem said, they do that whole 3D, 2D, and they would do the flashbacks until I'm like, why can't y'all just? I get it, but man, it looks so much better. Like the flashback look good, but then you go back and it's like it look like trash.
No, I co-sign because it don't make no sense for it to look like that.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the ones I kind of that I really missed. I actually watched almost every single anime we talked about tonight. So except like a few, like Ishira, I need to watch, and the one Terrence mentioned, I want to watch that one probably as well to check it out. But I almost watched all the other ones, so I'm pretty much caught up with just those two. I kind of always wanted to get into, especially Blue Exorcist. That's the one that got away because I loved it, but it came at a time where I wasn't ready to watch anime again. So now that I'm back watching anime damn near full time, almost halfway as a job now. I kind of want to get back into Blue Exorcist.
Okay, I feel you. Terrence, which series do you feel like you missed and you want to go back and check out?
Let's see. There's a Ragnar Crimson. I'm kind of curious about that one. I heard a little bit about it. I don't know if it's good or not, but I've heard some buzz about it, so I'm willing to check that one out. I know Burn the Witch came back with some new episodes, so I want to check that out as well. Banished from the Heroes Party Season 2. I'm very curious to see where they go from season 1. There's some aspects of it I didn't like, but what I did really like was the main character's relationship that like carried that show heavily for me. And I'm curious to see what they do in the next season, like if they still focus on that or if it focuses on the other stuff. If it focuses on the other stuff, then it's probably not going to be as good, but we'll see. And then there's also Bottom Tier Tomozaki Season 2. I'm really glad that got a Season 2. I want to check that out. I definitely want to see what direction that goes in because the first season pretty much is about this guy who is socially at the bottom. He doesn't have any social skills. He's a nerd, and it's about this girl who pretty much like picks him up and like teaches him different social skills. Like he cleans himself up, gets a decent haircut and everything. It's almost like taking a guy who's like has no game and like level him up to some game. And I just thought that was pretty cool. So I'm willing. I want to see how that second season turns out. And there's some other anime, but just for lack of time, we'll just go with those for now.
I love the idea of like he has no game and then upgraded to some game. It's like an actual reasonable increase, not like he went from like no game to like he got all the game. Like that's not real.
No, he doesn't go from Urkel to Stefan. Stefan. Yeah. I was trying to think it's not quite like that. But he just goes from being like this guy who's socially awkward to someone who is at least able to express himself socially in an appropriate way, kind of like that. And if I'm being honest, most anime nerds could stand to watch a show like that and learn a thing or two. So yeah, there's that.
Hey.
Fair enough.
That's a good list though. Is it like well-rounded? Ragnar Crimson is from fall, right?
Yeah.
Or is that winter?
Yeah.
Oh, so is this a continuation of it?
Yeah.
I think
it's just more of it.
I don't think it's
I didn't
done.
know. Well, never mind.
I was thinking
it was like episode 15 right now, I think.
Oh, I thought it was new for this season. Never mind.
I mean, hey, bro, it's still moving. So, hey,
I was gonna say if you want to watch it, I mean, it's still
watch
moving.
it, bro.
Maybe not. Shoot, I got like Shangri-La Frontier. I need to continue on that, and then there's also a Classroom of the Elite season 3 that came out. I'm willing to see where that goes. So yeah, we'll see.
All right. Will, what you got for us? What series do you feel like you missed?
Right now, what I missed right now is Devin mentioned it earlier, The Witch and the Beast. I'm looking to get my hands on that. He done sold me on Buchigiri, so I'm gonna sit down and watch that probably after this.
Buchigiri is something else. I will say that.
I'm gonna probably sit down and watch that after this because after hearing that, I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna have to watch this to see what this is about. And the other one I want to see is one of these long title light novel ones, I'm sure, but I'm gonna watch it just because I think the title is silly as hell. The Strongest Tanks Labyrinth Raids. A tank with a rare 9999 resistance skill got kicked from the group. I was just like, what? So I'm like, you the tank, and you got the most resistance in the world, and you done got kicked from the group. What's the problem? I got to see what the problem is.
He wasn't drawing aggro.
So I know I'm trying to see what's up with that. And the last one I want to see is Mr. Villain's Day Off, because who doesn't want to see what a villain does on his day off?
More murder, I guess.
This one here, this announcement says he just wanted to go to the zoo and look at pandas, bro. He just want to chill.
Damn.
he said he just want to relax.
Bro.
Is that a full-length series or is it like a 15-minute
I think it's
type of thing?
I think this is a full-length
okay.
12-episode series,
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 24 minutes an episode, so it's a full series.
Okay.
Wow. Because I could have seen that easily being like more of a gag, 15-minute.
Definitely.
Sometimes they do 12 or 4 minutes. So, as far as I go, the two series that I basically watched everything I want to watch. I do low key want to watch Sin Duality, but to do that, and this is gonna be a running theme. To watch Sin Duality, the new season, I'd have to have watched Sin Duality, the old season. So I mean, like, I might get back to it. What's up, Terrell? What's up, Keem?
Did you see the memes online about Sin Duality?
No.
There's memes.
Because it was like, well, not meme, but it's like someone pointed out like the transformation sequence basically transformed from light skin to a black person.
Hey man,
Brada.
my power up, melanin.
That was it. Yes. Melanin power up.
Melanin power, go. All right, man.
Slight protection from the sun.
Similarly, I want to watch Mashley, but I mean, I just haven't gotten through the season 1. Like I said, I do plan on picking that up. And then High Card, same thing.
Oh yeah.
I like what I got about
High Card.
halfway through High Card and Mashley. I think they both came out at the same time last year. Like spring.
Yeah, they were.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually watched Mash. I watched both today, but I was catching up on High Card today, but I wasn't caught all the way up. That's why I didn't mention it.
Yeah, I haven't watched any. I watched like the first 7 episodes of High Card, so there's probably about 6 more for me to go. Hopefully, I can get through that fairly quickly. I might do a 2 a week type thing so that I can get through it quickly and catch up to the new season, because I do want to see where that goes, because like when I left off, they had kind of sort of introduced not necessarily the major villain, but definitely a bad guy and like somebody that you would want to root against. And I was like, I wonder if they do anything with this. Do they fight him, or is he so powerful they don't even bother trying and they just kind of let him do his own thing, even though he's clearly a monster? I don't know, but I am curious to see where that goes. I think that wraps it up for this week's podcast. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. You know what to do. If you enjoyed this episode, do us a favor, hit that subscription button on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter and TikTok. Tell your friends about it. Tell your friends about us, and do me a personal favor and have an excellent week. Peace.
Watch anime.